श्रीरङ्गवीररघुराक्षरगोपविज्यं वेदान्तदेशिकयतीन्द्रमहं प्रपच्ये श्रीमते श्रीवञ्जरगोपश्री वेदान्तदेशिकयतीन्द्रमः देशिकाय नमः। केशवारिकृपापात्रं देशमारिगुणान्वं श्रीशटारीतीशानां देशिकेनमहं भजे रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकम्। लक्ष्मीनरसमारम्भां नादयमनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहत तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोः भगवतोऽस्य दैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। माता पिता युवतेस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव निमेन वदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य न कुलपतेः गोकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना। भूतं शरश्च मदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। Today we'll be doing again the Paaduka Sahasram of Mahatma Vedanta Deshika. Om Shri Vishwamitra Gotra Bhushanaihi Shri Vishwamitra Gotra Bhushanaihi Ananta Kalyana Gunakarihi Shri Rangaraja Divya Jnanabdha Vedantacharya Padaihi Kavitarka Simhaita Prakshara Gunamakhyahi Sarvatanta Swatantraihi Srimad Venkatanatharihi Srimandi Mahanta Mahadeshikaihi Sakalollauko Jivanaya Anugrihitam Shri Paaduka Sahasram. We did the 9th chapter. We'll be going to the 10th chapter today. The 10th chapter is called Shrugaara Paddhatihi Dashami. Describing the most passionate way of Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha Paduka's behavior. A very strange way, but Mahatma Deshika is an expert in every aspect, be it even dealing with the extremely passionate aspect also, which is rather very rare. For ordinary people to manage. So in the Shrugaara Paddhatihi, sometimes we may not be able to give you all the details because of the delicate nature of the subject. Let us see how Mahatma Deshika is handling the Shrugaara Paddhatihi in the most presentable way. Shaurehe Shrugaara Cheshtanam Prasutim Padukam Bhaje. यामीशा भुङ्क्ते शुद्धान्तात् पूर्वं पश्चादपि प्रभुः. शौरेः शृङ्गारचेष्टानां प्रसूतिं पादुकां भजे. यामीश भुङ्क्ते शुद्धान्तात् पूर्वं पश्चादपि प्रभुः. May we all be fortunate enough to worship that Paaduka Devi, who is considered to be the prayasi, the sweetheart who ignites all the passionate feelings in Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha. How come Bhagavan is beyond all these passions? But in the divine way, Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha accepts the request of Paaduka Devi for Loka Kalyanartham, Loka Ujjivanartham. So that his devotees can enjoy the extremely subtle, passionate feelings of the Lord and be there immersed in the bliss. And he enjoys before and after his passionate moments inside his private palaces. Bhagavan Sri Krishna first accepts the Padukas before entering and after exiting. He is 16,108 palaces of his wives. They are all the divine palaces of Bhagavan, made specially for him by Vishwakarma. And here we have Mahatma Deshika describing why should Bhagavan even think of entering those palaces? Because the Paduka Devi has ignited such wonderful, passionate feelings in the heart of Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha, Sriman Narayana, Sri Krishna. They're all one and the same. If Bhagavan also behaves like a human being, what is the difference between Bhagavan and ourselves? Some people may think. When we people get in that kind of passionate feelings, we feel we are the ones who are enjoying. Whereas Bhagavan is Purnakama. For Bhagavan, absolutely there are no desires. If Bhagavan is doing it, it is only to satisfy the pure desires of his devotees, which are not against dharma. Whereas if it is human beings, we do not even hesitate to fulfill our desires, even if they are against the rules of dharma. Bhagavan will never indulge in any passion that is against dharma. Whereas we, the human beings, do not care about dharma. What all we know is how we can get the maximum happiness out of it, not realizing anything that is material cannot give us an everlasting happiness. That is the difference between Bhagavan and ourselves. For Bhagavan, only one thing, even his personal pleasure is only to give a wonderful feeling of exuberance to his devotees. And that we can see in the next verse. Pranati Tradashendra Maulimala Makarandadra Paraga Pankilena Anulimpati Paduke Swayam Tvam Anurupena Padena Ranganatha. Hey Paduka Devi, as all the Devi Devatas, why even ordinary Devi Devatas, even the chiefs of all the gods, prostrate at the divine feet of Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. The honey that is there in the flowers, mixed with the pollen from the flower garlands that are there on their heads, become almost like a cream on his feet. And Bhagavan personally spreads that rejuvenating lotion. Unto whom? Unto the Padukas. Because he bends to place his lotus feet on the Padukas. So that Bhagavan's bending to accept the Padukas, a very great celestial event is happening. What is that celestial event? Pranata Tridashendra, Tridasha. Devatas are always 30 years old. Tridashendra, the chiefs of all the Devatas like Indra, Brahma, Rudra. So as the Devi Devatas come to prostrate, the Devi Devatas are adorned with beautiful garlands in their neck, on their heads, etc. And those divine flowers have their divine honey and the divine pollen grains. Not one, not two, 330 million Devi Devatas coming and prostrating at the divine feet of Bhagavan Sriranganatha. That creates a kind of a slush. And what is that slush made up of? The pollen from the divine flowers mixed with the honey from those divine flowers. As they prostrate before the Lord, all that slushy cream of divine flowers, pollen and honey is there applied as a cream onto the feet of Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha. And as Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha bends to accept his divine padukas, that Bhagavan bending to personally accept the padukas looks like Bhagavan is using that as an excuse to spread that rejuvenating cream on the Paduka Devi. See what a brilliant way of Mahatma Deshika thinking about the greatness of the Lord. Number one, he is great. Number two, Devi Devatas are coming and prostrating. And number three, the pollen that is there mixed with the honey and the divine flowers is looking almost like a cream that is applied onto the lotus feet of the Lord. And in turn, Bhagavan, bending to accept the Padukas, he is using that as a pretext to spread this cream from his feet onto his divine Padukas. So that is how Paduka Devi's glory is given in a beautiful form to all of us. That's why for Mahatma's imagination, sky is the limit. There are a million ways they think about the Lord. And here Mahatma Deshika thinks 330 million Devi Devatas coming and prostrating the Lord with the celestial garlands in their head, on their head and their necks. That is the one. That Mahatma Deshika says, it looks as though the honey mixed with all the pollen in those divine flowers is looking like a body lotion. And Bhagavan bending to accept the Padukas, he is looking like that he is using it as a pretext to apply all that cream to his beloved Paduka Devi. Such is the greatness of Mahatma Deshika, who can see very great spiritual aspects, even the ordinary things that most people will ignore. We only know devatas coming and prostrating, but we don't know, we don't even imagine that Devi Devatas are there adorned with beautiful divine garlands, and those divine flower garlands are having the pollen in that, and those divine flowers have fountains of divine honey, and that honey oozing out when they fall at the feet of Lord Ranganatha. The honey from their flowers is getting mixed with the pollen from their own flowers, and that becomes a beautiful body lotion, a cream that the Devi Devatas apply onto the feet of Lord Narayana. And in return, Bhagavan Sriman Narayana bending to accept the Padukas is a pretext to apply that cream onto his favorite Padukas. Look at the chain of events. Look at the glory of Mahatma Deshika to connect all of them. Avadata himam shukanushaktam padarakshe tvayi ranginah kadachite kimapi sthitam advitiyam advitiyamalyam viralavastitah mautikam smarami. Hey Paduka Devi, may we all be fortunate to recollect that wonderful form of Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha. Why every time Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha? Because he is the Supreme Lord. And this Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha with his white clothes, slightly wet with all the rose water to keep him cool in the hot summer days, and wearing a single strand of pearls that looked like drops of sweat after his passionate encounters, accepting you in an amazing way. So may we be fortunate enough to recollect that wonderful form of Lord Sri Ranganatha, bending forward to accept the Padukas. And how to bring the Shrugaara Paddhatihi here. The Shrugaara Bhava here, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, having enjoyed with all his 16,108 Divya Mahishis, appears to be a little bit sweating. And how do we know that sweat? The single strand of pearls that is there in the neck of that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is appearing to be drops of sweat after all his passionate encounters with his Devaris. Even the Ashtapattamahishis themselves are enough to bring unlimited happiness to Bhagavan. But Bhagavan's glory is such, 16,100 princesses that were there imprisoned by Narakasura begged Krishna to marry them, and Krishna married. 16,000 gopikas before the Maharshis of Treta Yuga begged Sri Ramachandra to fulfill their desires of conjugal love. Now all those things are fulfilled in the Krishna avatar. The Maharshis of Ramavatara became the gopikas. The same Supreme Lord Ramachandra became Krishna. Only difference, as Rama he always used to say, Atmanam Manusham Manye Ramo Dasharathatmujah. That's what Rama says. Whereas Krishna, Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasi Dhananjaya Maisarvamidam Protam Sutre Manigana Iva. There is a lot of difference. The way Bhagavan reciprocated with his devotees. Bhagavan's very presence is very captivating. And when Bhagavan is there in such a passionate mood, his activities are beyond ecstasy for anyone. The artificial way of enjoying Bhagavan is taking some stimulants, drugs, etc., and feeling very high about it. That's not spiritual life. Spiritual life itself is very, very addictive. Any devotee who is properly initiated, any devotee who wants to enter the Madhurya Bhavam, should feel fortunate if they get a glimpse of it from their Acharyas. And further to that, these are all the passionate feelings which one has to read and enjoy in perfect mood of servitude, Dasya Bhavam, to Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. There are no hard and fast rules how a devotee can please Bhagavan. Either those natural passionate feelings should come to you automatically, or you should try to acquire them at every step of your life. Now, Mahatma Deshika's way of handling here is a very unique one. Which we can see here. The way Mahatma describes that Bhagavan Sriranganatha moving from one palace to the other, honoring the Paadukas, Devi Devatas coming and falling at his feet, accepting their prostrations, thereby collecting the cream and applying it to the Paaduka Devi. Now here in the third verse he says, Avadata himamshukan ushaktam padarakshe tvai ragyanah kadachite kimapi stidam advitiya malyam virala vastita muktikam smarami. This we have seen Bhagavan Sriranganatha with his white cloth slightly wet with the rose water that is sprinkled on him to keep him cool in the hot summer days, and just wearing a single strand of pearls in his neck. He is giving the impression to his truly surrendered souls. My goodness, that beautiful strands of pearls, they look like drops of sweat falling on the divine body of Bhagavan Sriranganatha after his extremely passionate encounters with his Deveris. So that is the kind of poetic imagination Mahatma Deshika exhibits at every stage. Yeah. అవునయ్యా, నీకు ఇక్కడ చూసుకో, నీకేమైనా వీలవుతుందా అని. ఏం వీలవుతుంది? ఒక నిమిషం, రేపటికి లడ్డు కావాలి కదా, రేపు హోమం ఉంది, అది ఈ రోజు చేయని వీలవుతుందా? 4 గంటలకు బయలుదేరుతాడు నరసింహ. వడ లేకపోయినా పర్వాలేదు, వడ నిన్న చేసావా? ఇందులో 2 పెద్ద ఉన్నాయా? ఉంటే రెండు చాలు రెండు చాలు వడలు లడ్డు కనుక ఒక 2 లడ్లు పెద్దవి ఇచ్చినా చాలు కళ్యాణానికి. వీలవుతుందా? 4 గంటల లోపల నేనేమో 1 o'clock బయలుదేరుతాను. నేను 1 o'clock బయలుదేరి నేను ఇంతకుముందు పారాయణం రుక్మిణి కళ్యాణం నేను 2 to 5 పారాయణ చేస్తాను. వీళ్ళు ఇక్కడ 4కి వచ్చి తీసుకొస్తారు. 4కి వచ్చినా కానీ అక్కడికి 4కి ఐచేతికి చూపించిన మళ్ళీ మర్చిపోవద్దు జాగ్రత్తగా. So Mahatma Deshika looks at every aspect of Bhagavan in a very, very passionate way. That's why it's called Shrugaara Paddhatihi. And what an opportunity Mahatma Deshika got to glorify Bhagavan, saying, "Hey Sriranganatha, that wonderful strand of pearls that is there dangling in your neck is creating an impression like the droplets of sweat. The droplets of sweat appearing on the divine body of Bhagavan Paramapurusha Sriranganatha after his extremely passionate encounters with the 16,108 Deveris, a very, very sublime and joyful way of thinking it, the glorious activities of Paramapurusha." Now, does it mean to say Bhagavan Sriranganatha is also enjoying like us, ordinary human mortals? No. Bhagavan is Paripurna Kama. That is why he said, Anadi Brahmachari cha Krishna Vyasana Karshakaha. For a person who has no feelings at all, where is the concept of getting tired or where is the concept of getting sweat? It is only the beauty that Mahatma Deshika enjoyed, or the ecstatic feeling Mahatma Deshika got. While glorifying Bhagavan, the single strand of pearls reminded him of that. That's how we should take. Now we have Mahatma Deshika got another opportunity to glorify Paaduka Devi, this time in a different way. And that is Asahaya Gruhita Ranganadham Avarodhangana Simni Paduketvam Sudrishaha Swayam Archayanti Dvarat Archayanti Durat Avatamsotpala Vasitaihi Apangaihi. Now here, Mahatma Deshika glorifying Paaduka Devi. These divine leelas of Bhagavan are to be enjoyed, but not to be misunderstood, nor misinterpreted in a mundane way. Because it is the pure love that Mahatma Deshika had for Bhagavan Sriranganatha that is manifesting in 1,000 ways to express, and some of them in the most passionate way, called Shrugaara Bhava. Asahaya Gruhita Ranganadham अवरुधो अङ्गणसीम्नि पादुके त्वाम् सुदृशः स्वयमर्चयन्ति दूरात् अवतं सोत्पल वासितैः अपाङ्गैः. Hey Paduka Devi, when you bring that Bhagavan, Sri Ranganatha, into the courtyards of their private palaces, the Pattamahishis of Bhagavan, Sri Devi, Bhudevi, Neela Devi, etc., are the Ashtapattamahishis of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, are the 16,100 Devaris of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. They honor you personally with their sidelong glances, absolutely with no jealousy, along with the new fragrance of the blue lilies in their ears, even from a great distance. Here the glories of the Devaris of Sri Krishna is implied. It is not only Bhagavan Sri Krishna who is the most passionate person. Even the Devaris are equally passionate, if not more. That is why Mahatma Deshika or even Bhagavad Ramanuja says, Sheela Rupa Guna Vilasadipahi Atmana Rupaya Shriya Saha Asinam. If Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha feels very passionate about Mahalakshmi, instantaneously Mahalakshmi also feels extremely passionate about Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. Swarupa Rupa Guna Bhava Ishwarya Sheela Janavadika Saya Sankheya Kalyana Gunaganam. And in the Kalyana Gunaganas, Mahalakshmi is in no way inferior to Lord Sriman Narayana. And when it comes to Karunyam, oh, Mahalakshmi even exceeded Lord Sriman Narayana. Laghutara Ramasya Goshti Krutaha. See the beautiful way. Well, don't take any one of you personally. One silly question. Amma, anybody who is extremely passionate, Amma, who can answer a simple question? Maybe you feel delicate. But when a woman who is there, completely immersed in a passionate way, when she looks at her Lord, she feels so shy even to look at her Lord. When ordinary human beings feel like that, why talk about the divine spouses of Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha, Sriman Narayana? Sri Devi, Bhudevi, Neela Devi's heart is there extremely filled with unimaginable passionate feelings for their Lord. They feel shy to look at their Lord. So, their heart is there, just forcing them to look at the Lord, forcing them to look at the Lord and enjoy His captivating handsomeness. Their feminine modesty is standing in their way of looking directly at the Lord to enjoy. God has blessed them with sidelong glances. Those sidelong glances are enough to captivate even Bhagavan, and they enjoy on the pretext of honoring Bhagavan's presence in their palace. The divine spouses of the Lord are in fact overpowered by their unimaginable, intimate passions for the Lord. But being shy, they cannot express, they cannot even look directly at the Lord. But their sidelong glances are indicating all the affection that they are craving from their Lord. Now, those sidelong glances, when looked at their Lord, they are like appealing for his mercy to immerse them in his affection. But the same sidelong glances of the Devaris, when they are there falling on Paaduka Devi, the same sidelong glances, but this time the feeling is different. When they look at Bhagavan, passionate feeling. Here, gratitude. The sidelong glances of the spouses, Sri Devi, Bhudevi, Neela Devi, are a token of honoring Paaduka Devi personally, because Paaduka Devi was kind enough to bring Bhagavan to their inner chambers. And not only the sidelong glances, when the eyesight is there moving to the edges, naturally the eyes can even see the ears. And those days, those celestial ladies or even the divine spouses of Bhagavan are having the most fragrant utpalas. Utpalas are water lilies. Sudrushah swayamarchayanti durat avatam swatpala vasitairapangaihi. Avatam sa utpala. Utpalas are the blue water lilies. So not only their glances are indicating their affection for Krishna, they are also indicating their gratitude for Paaduka Devi, and their sidelong glances are enough to express that feeling. But those sidelong glances along with them brought even the fragrance of the blue lilies in their ears, and this they are doing the minute they hear the Manjunadam, the divine melodies coming from the Padukas as Bhagavan is approaching their palaces. So the sidelong glances of the Devaris looked at Bhagavan is to ignite his extremely passionate feelings. But the same sidelong glances, when looked at Paaduka Devi, it is to indicate their utmost gratitude for bringing the Paramapurusha to their inner chambers, having understood the pangs of separation they are going through during the few minutes of the absence of Bhagavan with them. These are all extremely subtle things which devotees should be able to understand or keep on meditating, and Bhagavan will certainly bless you with the true meaning of what Mahatma Deshka's intentions were. It is like many people write poetry, but in poetry there is a lot of imagination. But when Bhagavad Ramanuja went to Kashmir and then got the Bodhayana Vritti and started giving out the original way the Brahma Sutras are to be understood, as explained by Vedavyasa to his Shishya Bodhayana. The feeling only Sri Mahalakshmi is glorified. Therefore, Saraswati Devi herself appeared and she understood and congratulated and blessed Bhagavad Ramanuja. This is the right way to interpret that Mahalakshmi is equally Paramatma. That's why this is called Sri Bhashyam. May your Bhashyam be glorified as Sri Bhashyam that glorifies the exalted nature of Sri Mahalakshmi. And in the next verse, Mahatma Deshika says, Nirvishyamanamapi nutana sannivesham kaivalyakalpita vibhushanakaya kantim kaleshu nirvishasi ranga yuvanam eka Shrugaara Nityarasikam Manipada Rakshe. Nirvishyamanamapi Nutana Sannivesham Kaivalya Kalpita Vibhushana Kayakantim Kaleshu Nirvishasi Ranga Yuvanam Eka Shrugaara Nitya Rasikam Manipada Rakshe. A very, very passionate way of Mahatma dealing with Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha's Padukas. O gems-studded Padukas of Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha, Mani Pada Rakshe, gems-studded Padukas of Sri Ranganatha. Hey Paduka Devi, you enjoy an ever-new relationship with Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha. That relationship is Nitya Nutanam. Nitya Nutanam, Sambandham. And he looks adorable with all his divine ornaments. Is it the ornaments that are bringing beauty to Bhagavan? No. It is the beautiful body of Bhagavan, his beautiful limbs are bringing the greatness even to the Abharanas. Bhagavan Sriman Narayana's individual limbs themselves are the unimaginable decoration for his divine body. Whereas Paaduka Devi alone has the greatest and unique fortune of always being with the ever youthful Lord. So devoted, so devoted. Bhagavan is interested in enjoying all passionate activities. Paaduka Devi is interested always to be with the divine feet of the Lord. And when a pure devotee asks for something, Bhagavan will never say no. Paaduka Devi begged Bhagavan to be at his feet always. Bhagavan will never say no. Then you may say, what about Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra sending Paaduka Devi back to Ayodhya? That's part of the family life that Paaduka Devi wanted to enjoy with Bhagavan. So when you are there enjoying Bhagavan's divine feet, you should also have an obligation to understand your master's desire and do it unquestioningly. Here we have Paaduka Devi, who understood Bhagavan Sriman Narayana's heart so well. When Bharata came and begged Rama to return and Rama refused, Rama decided to give his Padukas as a nyasam for safekeeping. Did Paaduka Devi say one word when Rama said, "Go to Ayodhya and rule Ayodhya in my place"? That is called Paratantram. That is called pure love. Where there is pure love, that leads to Paratantram. Where there is no pure love, Paratantram will not be there. Only Swatantram will be there. Swatantram leads to a sad state that we will not be able to enjoy Bhagavan in the most passionate way. Paratantram invokes the subtle pleasure potency of Bhagavan to kindle even the slightest interest, so that those Bhagavatas who are praying for it are fully enjoying the passionate time with their chosen Lord Sri Krishna. At least for that we should follow absolute dharma. For pure Bhagavatas, there is nothing more satisfying than enjoying the divine passionate moments of the Lord. That is why they say, Kanta Kuchamburha Kutmalalola Drishte. That is what Jayadeva says, Kuryadanandana Chandana Shichara Tarena Karena Payodhare. That is what Mahatma Vedanta Deshaka says, Jayati Kitavaha Gopi Kaumara Hari. That's what Mahatma Vedavyasa says, Kitavayoshitaha Krishna Kashijir Nishi. There are various ways to enjoy Bhagavan. And the extremely subtle and passionate way is a pure, intimate relationship between Bhagavan and a Bhagavata. That is the one that is called Madhurya Bhavam. And that Madhurya Bhavam is not limited just to Bhagavan and Bhagavatas. Paaduka Devi herself being the divine spouse of the lotus feet of Bhagavan, she too wants to enjoy that extremely passionate bhavam with Bhagavan. So when we look at Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha, he looks very adorable. He looks very adorable. Is it because he is decorated with so many jewelry pieces? Bhagavan doesn't need any of the jewelry pieces. Bhagavan, the limbs of Bhagavan themselves are very, very unique and adorable. Bhagavan's limbs themselves, the hands, the feet, they themselves are the greatest of the greatest decorations to Bhagavan's divine body. Whereas Paaduka Devi has the unique fortune of always being with the ever youthful Lord, because he is interested in all sorts of extremely passionate dealings. That's what Jayadeva says, Srishyati Kamapi Chumbati Kamapi Ramayati Kamapi Ramam. Pashyati Sasmita Charutaram Aparamanugatchati Vama. That Dakshina Nayakatvam, only Krishna. That Vama, that deceitful way, again, of enjoying the pleasures Bhagavan is seeking, is a source of ecstatic joy for all his pure souls, for all his pure devotees. But when the mind is there polluted with the material desires and material way of thinking, the divine Madhurya Bhava is a distant cry. And Mahatma Deshika is there enjoying both the divine passionate feelings of the Lord, at the same time the divine passionate feelings of Padukas towards their Lord, the divine feet of Bhagavan. And now we have just one more verse we'll do. Where Mahatma Deshika glorifies Bhagavan in a different way. निद्रायितस्य कमितुः मणिपादुके त्वम् पर्यङ्किका परिसरम् प्रतिपद्यमानः श्वासानिला प्रचलितेन भजस्य भीक्ष्णम् नाभि सरोजरजस नवम् अङ्गरागम्. निद्रायितस्य कमितुः मणिपादुके त्वं पर्यङ्किका परिसरं प्रतिपद्यमाना श्वासानिल प्रचलितेन भजस्य भीक्ष्णम् नाभि सरोजरजसा नवम् अङ्गरागम्. Bhagavan Sriranganatha enjoying his yoga nidra. Now that is described here in a very different way. O Manipadukas of Bhagavan Sriranganatha, Nidrayitasya kamitahu Manipaduketvam. Paduka Devi is always there staying very, very close. Very, very close to Bhagavan Sriranganatha. Even while he is in his yoga nidra. Usually, nobody is allowed into the private chambers, especially the sleep chambers. But Paduka Devi is no stranger to Bhagavan. Paduka Devi gets a unique opportunity to go even into the inner palaces of Bhagavan. And here it is described as, Hey Paduka Devi, Mani Paduke, Hey diamonds studded Padukas of Lord Sriranganatha. You stay very close to you, Bhagavan Sriranganatha. So when you say so close to Bhagavan Sriranganatha, even when he was sleeping, you will enjoy his handsomeness in that sleeping posture, as Mahatma Vishwamitra enjoyed the beauty of Rama in the sleeping posture. So all the pollen grains from the lotus that sprouted from his navel, the Nabhi Kamalam, when it sprouted, Brahma came. Along with Brahma, all those beautiful fragrant pollen from that lotus spreads all over the world. And where is all that pollen falling? is falling on the Paaduka Devi who was so close. And when Bhagavan is taking the shvasa, inhaling and exhaling, Uchvasa Nishvasam, Bhagavan Sriranganatha, when Uchvasam accepting, Nishvasam blowing the air out, Bhagavan Sriranganatha is giving you a new beautiful look. What does it mean? Even when Bhagavan is pretending to be in his yoga nidra, he is still having a lot of consideration for Paaduka Devi. And that Bhagavan, even through his exhaling breath, he is making Paaduka Devi extremely happy. Already she is made happy with the pollen from the lotus that sprouted from Bhagavan's navel. And from that lotus, Brahma came. So as the lotus blooms, all the fragrant pollen in the lotus flower fell on Bhagavan, and in turn, all the pollen fell on Paaduka Devi. As though that is not enough, Bhagavan, while pretending to be in Yoga Nidra, he is just looking indirectly and giving more happiness to the exhaling breath to Paaduka Devi. And that makes Paaduka Devi look all the more beautiful because she was feeling shy that Bhagavan is looking at her so intimately. Therefore, the Shrugaara Bhava of Bhagavan, Sri Ranganatha, is explained in a very, very subtle way here. That is the greatness of Mahatma Deshika in composing this great Paaduka Sahasram. Go ahead, sir. What are your questions?
Question from Varadajan sir, and he put it in WhatsApp. So the question was in Gajendra Moksham, when Bhagavan was rushing to protect Gajendra, did he take the Padukas with him, or he did not?
As you heard repeatedly, the minute Bhagavan steps down from his Shesha he accepts Padukas. That's what Mahatma Deshika said. So we had to think that Bhagavan came with Padukas. But at another aspect, he says, the minute Bhagavan gets down from Garuda, he accepts Padukas. So it all depends on whether Bhagavan is accepting the Padukas after getting down from Garuda or after getting down from Adisesha. That's how we have to see.
So I think the question that he wanted to ask, I know he's not here, but was why didn't Swami Desikan talk praise about the Padukas or give any reference in the to Gajendra Moksham?
In the Gajendra Moksham, the reference to Padukas is not there. If you want, I'll. Do you want me to open Gajendra Moksham?
No, Acharya. I think it's a question from Varadajan sir. So maybe once
Okay.
he
Ask him to join. Okay, so that at least let him say from his perspective whether he read about it somewhere or where he came across, and is there a reference where everybody can go and refer? That is a better way of learning now. Go ahead, Amma. Any other questions you have? Yes, sir. Anyone of you no questions? All right. Yeah, we'll have the children's class at 11 o'clock. I'll try to do at least a few verses because today there is a Sudarshan Homam. But still, I'll try to do my best to at least send them a few
Okay.
verses. We'll do at least a few. Okay.
Okay, sure, sir.
Naren, 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 Naren.